One listener says she doesn't much like to read and wonders if that will prevent her from being a good writer. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. When I was a kid, my parents bought me a full set of World Book encyclopedias. I remember using them a couple of times for school. Mostly I liked to look at the mylar pages that had all the bones and blood vessels and muscles and whatnot in the human body. For some reason that intrigued me. They also bought me the companion library, where each volume had 2 books in it. There was one book on one side, you would turn the book over and upside down, and then there would be another book. I never read any of them. Obviously, I was not a reader. Hi, my name is Patricia Charpentier, and welcome to episode 88 of the Life Writers Blog, where you can find inspiration and useful tips to help you write your life stories. I read in school and college, but only what I had to read. I read newspapers when I worked as a journalist. If there would have been a most likely to be a non-reader prize, I would have won it, hands down. It wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I first started reading books for pleasure. I worked in criminal court for 4 years in South Louisiana, where I swore people in, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I logged and took care of physical evidence, all the bloody knives and photographs and all of that stuff, and wrote summaries of the proceedings that became the permanent record of the court. When I started reading, the only types of books I read were true crime books. Now, you would think I would have gotten enough of crime in that courtroom, but I loved seeing how the minds of criminals worked. That kicked off a love of reading in me, and I have been reading ever since. So to answer the listener's question, do I have to read to be a good writer? I believe the answer is yes. To be a good writer in a particular genre, you have to immerse yourself in that genre. I remember one writer telling me I don't want to read memoir while writing my own memoir because I don't want their writing to influence mine. That was that person's choice, but I don't necessarily agree with it. I can see part of her thinking, but I believe what you gain from reading in the genre you're writing is so beneficial. It's not like you're going to steal their words, but you will learn how a writer approaches his or her subjects, how they use language, how they structure their stories, and so much more. Now, one hazard to reading other good writers, which I found to be true in my own life, is the fear that arises of never being that good and of that fear preventing you from even trying. It can be paralyzing, and I know that to be true because it has happened to me over the last year or so. I have gotten so paralyzed in writing, and underneath it is the fear of not being good enough. I am doing something to take care of that now. But I have moved away from working on my memoir and doing much personal writing because of the fear of not being good enough. Some of that paralyzing fear came from reading and studying well-written books, but it's not a reason to stop reading. We need to read other authors in our genre to learn, to be inspired, to be challenged. I'll restate my position on the listener's question. Yes, you have to be a reader to be a good writer. It would be like wanting to make a movie without ever having watched a movie. There would be so much required that you wouldn't have a clue how to do it. That's what I think about wanting to write but not reading. But I would like to hear from you. Have you been a lifelong reader, or are you relatively new, like me, to the love of the printed page? Do you think you have to read to be a good writer? Why or why not? If you believe in the necessity of reading to write well, in what specific ways has reading impacted your writing? What have you learned from reading the works of others? Tell us your experience as a reader and its impact on your writing in the comments section below. But remember, whether you read or not, the only way to do this wrong is to not do it at all. The only way to do this wrong is to not do it at all. Until next time, happy writing and reading, everybody.
Don't miss the next episode. Sign up to be notified of future posts and upcoming events. Use the buttons below to share this episode on social media or with a friend who might like it. If you enjoyed this week's episode, you will love our Life Writers membership. Whether you don't know where to start writing your life stories, have started and stopped many times, or have been writing but want to receive feedback to make your stories better, the Life Writers membership is where you need to be. We have a Get Started roadmap, an extensive library of instructional videos, live events via Zoom, and a supportive and active community. If you want to take the stories that live in your heart and mind and put them into words on the page, check out Life Writers at lifewriters.us.